Am I wrong for telling my kid's stepmom to back off? This story came August 6th, 2023. So apparently my kids told their stepmom my son's bearded dragon was looking sick or malnourished or something inaccurate. And their stepmom, who has her own bearded dragon, asked them a bunch of questions about our setup and started sending them over with little cans of bugs and an expensive UVB light for the proper lighting, whatever the F that means. I'm first and foremost a little peeved at my teen, who is the one who told his stepmom that I, quote, I let the lizard just live in his own poop, and was asking why her bearded dragon doesn't smell, but ours does. I have concerns. He's also the one who told her that our bearded dragon looks sick, and I guess my younger chimed in. My younger son also told me his brother told his stepmom he wasn't getting attached to it because it might die early like the last bearded dragon we had. Like, WTF? The lizard is about 6 months old now and a little small, but I feed it daily some crickets and pellets, and I clean the poop every couple of days. I do take care of it, and it's really not this woman's place to be telling the kids things like, oh, they should feed it 2 to 3 times a day as babies, as they need to eat a lot of bugs, and implying that I'm doing something awful, like starving this animal. So when my younger son came to me again with something stepmom told him, I told him to tell her I know how to take care of lizards, and I've had bearded dragons way longer than she has, and to stop using my kids as messengers. Apparently, he went and told his stepmom that, and now my ex is texting me that I'm an a-hole. She was only trying to help the kids and their animal. And, quote, it's not like you'd ever listen to us about anything, so she was trying to teach the kids how to take care of it. I think at bare minimum, it should have been their dad teaching them, not some lady who isn't their parent. Am I the a-hole? Surely this whole story is not going to be about a bearded dragon. I have a feeling it's going to be like, this was said, this happened, this fight, this confrontation. Like, this is not about a bearded dragon and its poop. The first update came 13 days later, August 19th. My ex and I are split up. Our older son lives with him and the younger one with me. We are both not high income, but he somehow landed a wife who makes 4 times our income, and they often go out of the country on nice vacations, which I guess he has been sharing with the kids. The kids want their passports now thanks to his brainwashing. I initially said yes because he and my son caught me off guard and started asking me if it was okay one day. Then I had time to think about it and realized how bad things are in the world right now, and I don't feel like it's worth the risk and danger of having the kids so far away from me and out of the country with their dad and their stepmom. They also need my consent per our custody agreement to go out of the country anyway, and at this point, I'd never say yes. So today, when my ex asked me if X date was okay for the passport appointment, I asked where he's even going to be taking the kids, to which he told me he didn't know yet, they just want to get the ball rolling because it takes 3 months to get the passport, and they haven't planned anything specific yet, which I find sketchy. So I told him and the kids no, that he needs my consent to take them anywhere because of how bad the world is right now. I would never agree, so passports are pointless. My younger son got upset and my ex got angry also and kept repeating, are you just never going to allow them to go anywhere then? I never said that, just not right now. So my ex is texting me now saying that I'm an a-hole and I'm robbing my kids of experiences. Except I never had gone out of the country and don't have a passport and I am fine. So I don't really buy it. Like, does a 7-year-old and a 14-year-old really need to experience Japan or England or whatever? Yeah. What a dream. They can go when they are 18 and will probably appreciate it more then. Other than some initial disappointment, my kids haven't even mentioned it to me again, so I have a feeling they don't really care and it's more their dad influencing them. So, am I the a-hole? Ma'am, are you coming onto Reddit every time you have like a tiff with your ex and asking, are you right or wrong in the situation? I don't know. We're only on update number 2 and you seem difficult to deal with co-parenting. However, some parents out there who do co-parenting and blended families might agree with her. So you guys gotta chime in here. We got an update which came the next day. We have 2 kids that both used to live with me. One lives with my ex now and he's in high school, and the younger younger one, who's in 2nd grade, is with me. They are supposed to both see the other parent, EOWE, and we split 50-50 summers. However, because my older son started playing football, I gave up a lot of my time over the summer because his practice is an hour away, so I just told him to stay with his dad. With regards to child support, I filed when I had both kids, but for whatever reason, the amount came out to 0 in court, and with the custody change, turned out I had to pay him. But the courts were kind enough to keep it at 0 since I was the one who filed. So since then, we have just been paying for the child who lives with us. Also, when I had both children, I never asked their father to chip in for anything. He did buy clothes and supplies for both boys and paid for the extracurriculars and our older son's expensive contact lenses. But I never hounded him for it. Unfortunately, my ex does not feel the same now that he has custody. He keeps texting me saying the child support order that I filed for state medical costs must be shared 50-50. So now he wants me to pay for half of the contact lenses, which is $200 a year, and also half for his braces, which I did agree to pay $100 a month. I told him no to the contact lenses because our son can just wear glasses, which are totally covered by the insurance, but my ex says our teen does not want to wear glasses because he plays football. My ex is also constantly hounding me to contribute to things like football costs for uniforms, $50, extracurricular costs, pet clothes, school items, etc., because he claims our older son is more expensive than our younger, and that he still buys our younger son clothes sometimes because I just give him hand-me-downs, and he has both boys more than 50% on average because I gave up time with our older son. He told me I am essentially abandoning our older son just because he no longer lives with me, which is not true. I did buy him a $60 backpack for school and a nice belt. When I told him I couldn't afford it because I work part-time now, he told me go back to working full-time and that having another child doesn't mean I can just stop paying for my current kids. I do pay for my kids. I pay for food and clothes and for my younger. I find it extremely hurtful what my ex is saying. He even threw in there that their stepmom is supporting him more than me. I spend time with my son when I do see him, and I am basically paying for my younger son entirely. I already have a headache with this co-parenting, divorce, blended family thing. All the props in the world if you're out there doing it, truly. And that's coming from a child of divorce and blended family. Next update, 3 days later. My ex asked if our son could go home as it is on my weekend. I initially said no because I live an hour away and I only see him 4 days a month. You only see your kid 4 days a month? Okay. Not my life, not my life. But his dad offered to switch weekends, so I was considering letting him go. However, I checked his grades and I saw that he has a D on one of his classes. I emailed the teacher and she said he has been on his phone in class and unfocused and not doing assignments complete. I texted my ex, who told me he has been working with the teacher, counselor, and assistant principal and our son for the last 3 weeks, but the teacher has been relatively non-responsive and gives students zeros if they don't follow all instructions to a T and takes forever to update grades after the student fixes the problem. He told me he had already turned our son's phone off during school hours as punishment, and the D is due to one 200-point assignment where our son received a 0 for not taking notes correctly in class, and he is working with the teacher to help him redo it and turn it in a right way, and the teacher allegedly said that he could do this. He also claims he has been in contact with all of his other teachers and he is not acting up in their classes, and this instance was very specifically when there was a sub in the class. I think we can all admit that when we had a substitute teacher in class, we were fucking shit up, right? Like that was our opportunity. Teacher's gone. This one's just here for the day. We'll probably never see them again. Let's cause havoc. Maybe that was just me. Needless to say, I have difficulty believing my ex, as I am sure he does not want to admit our son is not doing as great as he thought he would be in his care. My ex also is attributing our son's academic issues on being new to high school and the school district, and is blaming me for not having any oversight or enabling him the last 4 years and switching him schools a few times, and that his last school district was not good and he never learned any study habits. Which is ridiculous because I tried very hard to get my son on track when he was with me until my ex got the judge to move him to this district. Also, his dad is enabling him now by trying to get me to let him go to homecoming when he is almost failing a class. I texted my ex and my son and said, absolutely not. No homecoming dance due to the D and his bad behavior in class, and that I will not reward bad behavior and bad grades. I also explained to my son that homecoming is for juniors and seniors anyway, and he will have the next 3 years to attend. My son is furious with me and I feel bad, but at the same time, my work friends are telling me that I am doing the right thing by disciplining him when his dad will not. Next update. This woman works part-time, and that makes a lot of sense because she spends a lot of time on Reddit talking about her issues. The next update came 13 days later. We're now at October 20th. So, I am in conflict with my son mostly, but also my ex. Part of the reason I am so inflexible now is because my ex just takes advantage and always pushes to take time away from me when I already only see my son the 4 days a month. It doesn't seem fair that I'm the only one having to move things around. His younger brother lives with me and goes to his dad every other weekend. This was done so the boys could see each other on weekends, so it is also fair to him. I no longer allow my son to stay for varsity games on Fridays. My pickup time is 7:30 p.m., but if he stays for games, I usually have to pick him up at around 9:30 p.m. or forfeit the night. I tried this once and it was very hard on my boyfriend and the baby. He also asked me this week if I could drop off his cousin and brother earlier for my ex's weekend at 6 p.m. His cousin was spending the weekend with him for his birthday because it's his birthday and he wanted his cousin and brother to go with him to the varsity game. During school dances, I find myself having to give up time also. Switching weekends doesn't always work because I work every other Sunday and I set it up that way so I can spend max times on my weekend with my older son, and my boyfriend cannot watch the kids when I work on the weekends. I should add that I also had to forfeit a lot of time during the summer that we split 50-50 for his football practice that was 4 days a week because it is like an hour drive to take him to practice. My son told me the other day that I am mean, that I suck, and I never give him any real reason why I can't be flexible on the schedule, and that I just say no. However, this is my time with him, and it doesn't seem fair to have to give up hours or drive to get him late just so he can hang out at games or dances. There are plenty of games and dances he can go to on the 80% of days that he is with his dad. This just seems like a nightmare. It really does. My mom got us on weekends, and she still let us go out and about and do our thing. She made sure we had family time, but like we were still like, especially once we got to high school, oh my God, that's when you're like socializing. Oh yeah, she let us all do that, and thank God. We've got another update 16 days later. We're at November 21st. How do you show courts about alienation? Every time my 15-year-old ends up living with his dad and we have court coming up, this happens. The first was when he was 12. I made the mistake of letting him and his brother stay with his dad during COVID. There was no order at the time. At this point, he was still my baby and would fight with his dad often. He was still angry with his dad about the separation. But all of a sudden, after living there, he became angry with me often, not wanting to stay with me as much, getting mad at me if I did not let him go to his dad's. I tried forcing the old schedule back and only letting the kids see their dad, EOWE, to reduce the alienation, but then my ex filed for custody and got 55/45 until COVID ended. Fortunately, once COVID ended, the mediator realized my ex was influencing our son by telling him the schools were better where he lived. So I got my sons back, but that was still about 60-40 joint custody. Then my ex filed again last year and somehow got my son to tell the judge that he wanted to live with his dad. Fortunately, they ended up only sending my older son to live there and they let me keep my younger son. Unfortunately, that meant we both had custody of the other child reduced to the EOWE so the boys could see each other on the weekends. For about 6 to 7 months, my son was okay. Then, when he started high school and my ex pushed for a custody trial to try and get my younger son, everything deteriorated. He tells me I don't care about him. He tells his dad, who encourages him, that he hates my boyfriend and I only care about him and our new baby. That I only care about his brother and not him. My ex sent him to stay with me on his weekends this week because he went out of town, and not even a day in, he got into a fight with my boyfriend for yelling at him when he was fighting with his brother. He told his dad I let my boyfriend get in his face and that he hates it here and wants to leave. He told me the same thing when we moved in with my boyfriend last year. He said I hate it here and I'm going to tell the judge that I want to live with dad. Which is when his dad jumped on. This is alienation, right? How do I deal with my son and how do I show the courts this so I don't also lose my younger son? He used to be such a mama's boy. I'm not a parent, so correct me if I'm wrong, truly. But would it be healthier to maybe give the space to your son if he's happier at dad's? Like, I feel like you're forcing him because for good intention, you want to be close to him, you want to spend time with him when he's at your house, but I feel like that's almost pushing him away. And as a teenager, it's like, you don't want to spend your Friday night hanging out with mom. You just don't. The next update came March 22nd, 2024. Good heavens, this is still going on. Hi, is this good evidence to have submitted for my trial? My ex wants both kids living with him. Number one, my ex is a bully and is always texting me, threatening things like, quote, I don't know if things would go that well for you in court since I've had the kids primarily the last year, and saying I didn't send in the right size clothes, asking me for money to pay for my older son, saying I need to work full time, then when I tell him I can't afford it because I changed my hours to part time, I submitted all of those text messages from him. Is it just me or should she just be like dealing with a lawyer about this and not Reddit? I feel like they might have better. Reddit is full of advice. Number two, my older son is not safe for my younger son to be around. I submitted evidence where he was super angry when living with me when he was 13. He punched a hole in the wall. He was always yelling at his brother and bullying him, where I had to wrestle him to the floor one time because he wouldn't give me his phone and he was hitting me. However, I know my ex is trying to say that our older son has improved drastically behavior-wise since living with his dad and that the boys now get along well. He's also going to try and say I'm a hypocrite because I made my son share a room when I moved in with my boyfriend when both kids were living with me and that I never wanted to separate them before. Number three, my younger son needs to stay with me for stability. I submitted a lot of photos of him and his friends here and his good grades. My ex is trying to argue that siblings are more important than friends, and why didn't I care about stability back when I tried to move the kids' schools to a bad district a year ago to move in with my boyfriend? But I feel like that was a necessity at the time because I was having a baby with my boyfriend. Let me know if you think this is good stuff for court, everybody. Now, this is wild. She has never left Reddit because we have an update almost a year and a half later and 2 years after the first post. Her legal advice is on Reddit. Let's hydrate, shall we? Grab your beverage of choice. I need a shot after this one. Cheers. Do we believe this trial will be over 1.5 years later? Or are there still ongoing problems? Let's find out. Luckily for us, she's now in 2025. This update is August 23rd, 2025. Recent times. I wonder if they've gotten their passports yet. The current court order says my 17-year-old son is able to play football. He's still a junior. And if he has games on Friday drop off, it will be on Saturday morning. He is supposed to be with me every Friday to Sunday of the month except one. He is currently in junior varsity. Last year, he would tell me and his dad that he had to be at the varsity games. I found out later that he wasn't playing. He was volunteering and just helping the varsity team and coaches, hanging out on the sidelines. This year, he is still a JV. Supposedly, he told his dad last minute he has to be at the varsity game and just hopped on the bus with them to go to the away game. Again, he wasn't playing. He said he was helping the varsity team and coaches and that he and the other JV quarterback were both there listening to the plays and strategies, and he is claiming this is important to him and he wants to be there. I feel it is my ex's fault for allowing this to happen and to make me miss time with my son. I feel that if he isn't playing varsity, he doesn't need to be at the varsity games or practices or volunteering events. His dad is claiming that he isn't told things until last minute, but shouldn't he be emailing the coaches and verifying whether my son is required to be there? All he does is message me and say, my son has this and this, how do you want to handle it? Shouldn't he be forcing my son to adhere to the custody schedule? If he knows that he isn't playing, he shouldn't be allowing him to go or asking me what to do. He should be following the schedule and taking my son to our meetup point. Would I be able to take this to court? Girl. Bless this family. Would I be able to take this to court as interference of custodial time? My ex's argument is that it is common for JV to attend varsity games to learn and support, and that is why he never questioned it, and that I didn't complain about it last year, so he thought I also supported our son's extracurriculars. But I never said I agreed with any of this. My ex also keeps saying I need to talk to my son because he is 17 and will be 18 next year to understand his reasoning behind wanting to do certain things. But we are the parents and we make the rules. So I feel I could also use this to show that my ex just lets our son do whatever he wants. I also want to use this to get my younger son back. Younger son is now 9 because my ex is starting to put him into extracurriculars too, and I am worried the same thing will happen when he goes to high school and I won't get any time with him. To get my son back, does that mean that they both went with dad? The next update was September 9th. My ex recently put me on child support after he bullied me and the courts into taking primary custody of our 2 kids. Well, we got some information on that. I have to pay $650 a month plus arrears, so it is close to $740 a month. I only make $1,500 a month due to only being able to work 1 to 2 days a week, as my boyfriend and I have a 3-year-old child, and it doesn't make sense to sign her up for 2 days of daycare a week since I make so little. My boyfriend works full-time and supports us, but I do not want him having to pay for the kids that are not his. My ex, on the other hand, has a partner who is well off and according to him is paying my part of raising the kids, whereas I should be the one contributing. First of all, I do contribute by paying for the kids' food and necessities when they are with me, and they are with me almost every weekend. I also pay half for some of the kids' medical costs like braces. My ex has them on his insurance, but he could go through Medicaid, which I have the kids on, and get things for free. Yet he complains that I don't help with any other medical costs like co-pays, glasses, and contact lenses for our older son who needs them because he plays football. I don't feel like I should have to pay him child support. I make less money than him. However, the courts imputed my income. He has a partner who has money, he works full time, and they don't have a little one to care for and support at home. When I had the kids initially, all he did was pay my rent and phone, and I never asked him for child support. Am I in the wrong here? He keeps saying that I am required to pay because they are my kids too, but how am I supposed to afford my bills if they keep taking half my paycheck every month? Especially when my ex keeps bullying me and asking me for money to cover half of the medical costs on top of the support I already pay. He is so rude and will say things like, work more, kids cost money, when I know he does not need that money from me. Got a point though. Kids cost money. Kids cost money. A lot of money. I feel like anyone who's been through a divorce and a custody agreement will have so much knowledge on this subject for me. Please put it in the comments because I feel like I'll get a better perspective of like, how does this work? Is she right about anything? Is she wrong? She does sound difficult for sure to co-parent with, and this is much more than a bearded dragon living in poop, like I thought. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I will see you tomorrow and in the comment section.